All right, we're going to pick up where we left off. This is A Child's Introduction to African American History. Sorry about the view, but I am determined to finish this book. We are at the bottom of page 84 and we have to page 90. So we're almost done. Eric Garner. On July 17, 2014, on a crowded street corner in Staten Island, New York, police officer Daniel Patelio choked Eric Garner to death. A bystander captured video of the scene with his cell phone. Images of the event were quickly shared on social media. Police had been attempting to arrest Garner for selling illegal cigarettes. He was pushed to the ground and choked, even though he offered no resistance. Garner, who was unarmed, repeatedly declared, "I can't breathe." As Patelio held him down, those last words became a rallying cry for African Americans concerned with what they saw as an increase in police brutality against black men. They gathered in cities around the country to protest Garner's death. A grand jury decided not to indict or charge with wrongdoing. Officer Patelio, almost a year after Garner's death, his family received $5.9 million to settle a claim they had filed against the city of New York. Black Lives Matter. Following Trayvon Martin's death, 3 activists created Black Lives Matter. Alicia Garza, Opal Tometi, and Patrisse Cullors described the movement as a call to action, urging African Americans to organize and resist racism. Black Lives Matter has hosted conference calls, created social media networks, and organized direct action protests in various cities. The group has encouraged campaigns against police brutality and unfair prison policies. With a growing active membership, Black Lives Matter has helped inspire an activist spirit not seen since the civil rights movement. All right, moving on to page 86. Now, 86 is just pretty much a picture page, and it says, "Ferguson is everywhere. Stop police violence." So we're moving on to page, if I can get this together. Moving on to page 87. We have 3 pages left. The season of police killings. At the very top of this page, it says, "Too many young men of color feel targeted by law enforcement, guilty of walking while black or driving while black, judged by stereotypes that fuel fear and resentment and hopelessness." President Barack Obama. The season of police killings. In the aftermath of Eric Garner's death, Black communities suffered a series of questionable encounters between police and unarmed African Americans. In each of them, a black man or woman ended up dead. Uproar in Ferguson. On August 9, 2014, a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri, named Darren Wilson, shot Michael Brown, a young black man. Wilson had been trying to scold the teenager for failing to walk on the sidewalk. Ferguson police left Brown's body in view of his neighbors for 4 hours. Brown had no weapon, but Officer Wilson claimed he feared for his life. The next night, protests broke out in Ferguson. Police showed up with armed vehicles and military-grade weapons. Activists from all over the country came to Ferguson to raise more concerns about aggressive policing and the value of black lives. More than 4,000 people showed up for Brown's funeral on August the 25th. Organized protest campaigns continued in areas for months. In November, a grand jury declined to indict Wilson for any wrongdoing. A year after Brown's death, the Department of Justice found that Ferguson police regularly violated the civil rights of city residents. Tamir Rice. Barely 2 months after Michael Brown's death, Cleveland, Ohio police shot Tamir Rice to death. Just 12 years old, Rice had been playing with a toy gun in a park when a fast-moving police car approached him. Within 2 seconds, Officer Timothy Lohman opened fire. Neither Lohman nor his partner performed first aid on the boy. Weeks of demonstrations followed Rice's death. 13 months after the shooting, a grand jury decided not to bring charges against Lohman. Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland died in police custody on July 13, 2015. I'm trying to make this view better here. Texas State Trooper Brian Encina pulled her over for not using her turning signal. He ordered her to put out her cigarette. When Bland refused, he removed her from the car and arrested her. 3 days later, Bland was found dead in her cell. She was 28. Her death was ruled a suicide. And once again, a grand jury declined to bring criminal charges against anyone. However, Encina was charged with perjury, lying, and was fired. In September 2016, Bland's family accepted a $1.9 million settlement in a wrongful death lawsuit. Philando Castile. On July 6, 2016, Philando Castile was pulled over by police officer Geronimo Yanez in St. Anthony, Minnesota. Castile's girlfriend and her daughter were in the car with him. He told the officer he was carrying a licensed weapon. Before Castile could get out his license or the weapon, Yanez shot him 7 times and killed him. Castile's girlfriend posted live footage of the shooting on social media. Weeks of protests followed. Yanez was charged with second-degree murder, but was acquitted on all counts. And since this video is about to cut off because these videos are 10 minutes or less and we're working on fluency and accuracy, we are going to end this video and we're going to come back. I'm going to come back with the last video, hopefully of the last 3 pages, and that will be the completion of this book, A Child's Introduction to African American History.